Hello, everyone. We've got a great episode. I know everyone is looking for more money, and I'm talking today with Cody Nystrom, the managing director of Sjf Ventures, and she has money for social entrepreneurs, so you don't want to miss this episode.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Cody, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Devin.
We're thrilled to have you. And this is an exciting topic for entrepreneurs. I spent a lot of time in my career helping entrepreneurs raise money. I've been an entrepreneur many times, and it just never seems to be enough money. So I know there are people who are just dying to understand your investment philosophy, your investment strategy, not only so that they can understand how your firm works, but to get a better insight into how that mysterious venture capital market works, especially among impact investors. So Cody, tell us a little bit about your fund.
Sure, happy to. So Sjf Ventures is the name of our firm, and we're headquartered in Durham, North Carolina, and also have offices in New York and the Bay Area and Seattle. And it was founded 20 years ago by two partners who really wanted to do something very different for 1999 when a lot of VC was being raised. They wanted to invest in companies that were driving great financial returns, but also environmental and social impact. And so, for this time period, this was, a very novel concept, and still, to this day, I think there's still a stigma attached that, doing good by doing well is difficult, and that there's a trade-off, but they wanted to, try this thesis out. And so fast forward to today, we've been investing in the impact investing space for the last, almost 2 decades, and have honed that model over those years. We're now on our 4th fund, and we invest in categories where we think we can drive exceptional financial returns, but also exceptional gains to environment and society. So the 3 primary areas of investment are energy and environment and sustainability. So that could be transportation and mobility, sustainable food and ag, energy efficiency, clean building materials and clean products, as well as health and wellness, which is an area that I lead and particularly passionate about. And that could be digital health and consumer-directed health as we shift to value-based care, a lot of new opportunities emerging out of the healthcare ecosystem. And then the last major category of investment for us is in education and employment tech. And we're particularly interested in connecting people with with the connection between college and jobs, or high school and college, and creating more transparency and access for those that have a more difficult time navigating that system. So those are the 3 main areas of investment. And yeah, we are a typical Series A, Series B investor, and write checks of 2 to 10 million.
2 to 10. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Every entrepreneur that hears this, that especially in the healthcare space, and by that I mean having anything remotely to do with health now, is just about ready to cash the check. So let's talk a little bit about what a Series A round looks like, because just about every entrepreneur, early stage entrepreneur, thinks they're ready for that Series A round. So help us understand what you're looking for as a sign of that readiness and preparedness for a Series A round.
Sure. Yeah. There's no doubt there's a lot of capital out there right now. So it is a good time to be an entrepreneur. It's a good time to raise capital. We advise entrepreneurs to do it very thoughtfully and make sure you know who you're taking capital from. And the capital always comes with strings attached, so make sure that you understand all of those strings. But in general, for SJF, we are looking for a lot of the same cliche things that most funds are looking for, excellent management teams. And because we are mission oriented, we certainly look for management teams that have a strong alignment in the mission. And so while we invest in specific products or services, we also very much care that our mission of doing, making investments that are driving positive change resonates deeply with them as well. And it often does. And I think that's been a shift over the last 10 years. You see a lot more entrepreneurs that had a life experience and might have been in a different industry, but really get called to doing a venture that affects them personally. And so I think that message does resonate with a lot. But that would be a first kind of, criteria for us. And then as far as kind of a lot of the other just business fundamentals, I mean, we're looking for a company that's hit an inflection point for growth. They've got customers and some traction, whether that be revenue or users that are just emphatic users of the product. They are, willing to go to bat and be references for that company, and just a fantastic user experience. And so once we start to see, a few clients or customers that really are evangelists for the product, that's usually a great point for us to start engaging in conversations with the company.
So typical revenues of your companies before you invest?
Yeah, it's kind of all over the map, so no clean answer here. Because we invest in everything from a services business to a consumer product business to a SaaS business, the revenue thresholds tend to be a little bit different. But in general, I would say we're looking for companies that are over $1 million in sales. It could also be companies that are much later stage, but rarely companies that haven't achieved some sort of initial ARR metric if they are a recurring revenue business of around $1 million.
Okay, let's do a quick lightning round here. Give me a yes, no, or maybe, and I'm just going to shout out some business ideas, business models, products. You tell me if it's something that's in or out of your space. But let's say standing desk manufacturer.
No.
A nursing home operator, an assisted living developer.
Yes.
A medical device company.
No.
Drug company, drug development startup.
No.
Okay, that's great. That's very helpful to people. Why don't you give us 2 or 3 names and examples of the portfolio companies you're helping to manage and that are really succeeding now in your portfolio?
Sure, yeah. So I lead our group's practice in healthcare, and by healthcare, I really kind of mean a consumer-directed healthcare. And so we don't invest in, as the lightning round illuminated, med device or drug discovery or biotech. We're very much focused on, really the transformation of health to being patient-centric. And how we think about that is all the care and everything that happens outside of the clinical setting. And so, one of the things that, really compels me to healthcare is just how much more we can change. I think we've started the ship in, a different direction, and it's going to take a long time for it to fully turn around. But the idea of tapping into things like the social determinants of health is just a great opportunity to create so much change. And it aligns so well with SJF's mission. So, some of the stats out there is, 50% of the outcomes around health are associated with our behaviors, 20% associated with environment, 20% with genetics, and only 10% actually from the clinical care that we receive. Yet 90% of the dollars in the healthcare system go to clinical care and less than 5% towards behavior and environment. So if you think about just that massive shift of money over to the areas that influence health by such a greater degree, it is really exciting. It's daunting, and I think we all who are in the business wish it could change faster, but it is exciting. It's a great time for venture capital. It's a great time for an impact investor to be able to make a stamp on really helping people achieve better health outcomes at a lower cost, which is really what everyone is in it for. The 2 companies in our portfolio that kind of highlight that, one is called Solera Health, and they are an integrated network for delivering preventative health services as well as addressing some of these needs associated with the social determinants of health. So they've aggregated for their first product a network that's both community-based, so very hyper-local, as well as virtual providers of diabetes prevention providers. And so these providers are matched with patients that are covered as 100% medical benefit by payers, so commercial payers, as well as Medicare now. As of April 1, Medicare now covers diabetes prevention as a medical benefit for free. And they connect them with the providers that help them on a journey of behavior change and weight loss. And it's been well documented, many studies, evidence-based medicine that if someone can lose 5 to 7% of their body weight, they can reduce their risk of developing diabetes by 60% or more. I mean, it's just really compelling data. And so the idea of, not just, being complacent and saying, oh, well, we're kind of stuck with this problem, let's just put everyone on pharma. There's really a lot of medically and clinically based programs like diabetes prevention that can support that. The next company on the spectrum of diabetes, you'll see a theme here within SJF, is Fit4D. And what they do is they have a network of certified diabetes educators that help someone on the journey after they've been diagnosed with diabetes. And so the typical experience someone might have is they go into the doctor, they get blood work done, the A1C, which is a measure of their glucose over a 3-month period, says it's over 7. The doctor calls them up, says, you now have diabetes, take this prescription and be healthier. And literally that's kind of the end of the conversation. And you can just imagine someone who's 40, 50 years old, they've now been asked to go get a prescription. They've been asked to change their lifestyle in a way they have no idea how, and they don't feel any different. Diabetes is often not symptomatic. And so, having a concierge that really helps them through that understanding of this is what diabetes means, this is why, you don't need to be scared of it. I'm here to kind of help you through this physical, emotional, journey with you and help them adhere to a care plan is really important. And so Fit4D helps patients with that, where often the primary care physician just doesn't have the time. They don't have the time or resources to be able to do that sort of intense behavior change experience and hand-holding experience with patients newly diagnosed with diabetes.
Well, it is really fun to think about all the great work that you're doing. As you reflect on the kind of the extraordinary experiences you've had in your career already, what is the accomplishment you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that venture capital in general is a long game. And so I've been in it for 12 years and it's a steep learning curve, and certainly, learning more every day. I think, collectively, our funds have continued to do well. We've had a number of exits, and I'm very fortunate to be able to continue to do this work and with great people. I think for me, the thing that gets me up in the morning and keeps me going, and I guess is a feedback mechanism that we're doing the right thing, is the people that are at SJF and the entrepreneurs that have chosen to partner with SJF are just really top class individuals. I feel so fortunate to be in a group of people and work with a group of people day in and day out that are all focused on the right things and focused on the mission and focused on delivering value back to our communities and to the environment. I think venture capital can often get a little bit of a bad rap, and maybe not being in the Bay Area, I don't see as much of kind of some of the potential stigmas that are attached with it. But to be working in a field that is so exciting, and particularly in healthcare and the disruption that's happening there, alongside team members and entrepreneurs that are validating that SJF is a good partner to work with, and validating that our mission is meaningful and doing well by doing good is now a common theme, and it's not an esoteric idea like it was in 1999. I think to me that's the real validation that we're on the right track, and that this is here to stay. And I think that will bring more capital to the space. I think SJF, we're very proud that SJF has been an early leader in impact investing. We've been at it for 20 years. There's certainly been many lessons learned, which probably is a whole nother 30-minute interview, but being able to attract more capital to the space, more asset owners that want to move their money into asset classes that are doing something really great beyond just creating financial returns, I think is something that we feel really proud of.
So Cody, what's the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
Yeah, I think that a couple things. Probably about 5 years ago, and it was right around the time that I had my first child, I realized that life is too short to be doing anything that isn't, 100%, that I'm not 100% in on, and that I feel is worth kind of the time and energy. I mean, if I'm going, it's obviously an intense career in venture capital, putting in a lot of hours, And to have any minute of those not go towards something that I think is, creating meaningful change and partnering with companies that I think are creating meaningful change, just to me would be a waste. And I think, being a working mom and choosing to kind of leave my kids each day with someone else, I think it's even more important for me to be able to kind of go back and say, what I'm doing has purpose, and I'm hoping that I'm making a difference both for the environment and for people who have a lot less resources than we do. And so I think that all that has made me think life is just too short. Partnering with companies, individuals that share a like-mindedness and a drive towards success and especially towards impact is really important. I think another lesson learned is in this business, you can really get caught up in the roller coaster ride. I mean, it's, things are good one day, things are, terrible the next. Entrepreneurs, we're very similar to entrepreneurs where, we have to constantly be innovating ourselves, resourceful, figuring out what's changing with the market. And so not getting too caught up in the ups and downs and trying to just maintain a even, manner and stable mind through what can often be anxiety producing times, I think has really helped bridge success in this field. And similarly for our entrepreneurs that I think just don't get caught up too much in the details and just continue to focus on the end goal.
You started your career earlier, Cody, on Wall Street, and then shifted to social impact investing. Why did you decide to make that change?
Yeah, so that was an interesting story. So I was engineering undergrad. I went into investment banking, and it was a fantastic experience. And that I learned so much about the capital markets in a very short period of time. But similar to the lesson learned in life of like life's too short, do what you want, or do what makes you happy and what you feel passionate about. It had that same kind of realization within investment banking that it wasn't fulfilling to me. And so at that point in time, what I thought would be fulfilling, and ironically, it's kind of come full circle here, was going back to school to get a master's in public health, and particularly in nutrition. It's always been a strong passion area of mine. And so, I thought, okay, a few years out of undergrad, I just need to kind of shift gears and abandon this financial market engineering path and go into public health. Meanwhile, I did, come across Sjf, and long story short, I ended up staying at Sjf now 12 years and didn't go back to school. But I think what I didn't ever realize was possible, and really, for 12 years ago, there were very few of these groups out there, which was the idea of having a platform like Sjf to be able to pursue public health initiatives and support the greater good of public health, but through a much more scalable way than potentially working in a hospital. Not that that's in any way a bad profession, but for me it was a great intersection of my experience and analytical kind of drive from engineering and investment banking with the passion from healthcare and particularly wellness and public health. And so, it just happened to make sense for me. I will say I lucked more into impact investing than probably most people today, where they're much more thoughtful about it. But it was still a pretty new concept at the time. And so, it just happened to be a great nexus for both my interests and talent.
Cody, what's your superpower?
Superpower. So I would say I can sleep anywhere, on planes, trains, buses, West Coast time, East Coast time, kids screaming. I mean, I didn't have to sleep train because I just sleep through all the kids crying. It's great. But yeah, all jokes aside, I think part of it is definitely back to the earlier point of not sweating the small stuff. I think people who know me will find that I'm particularly focused, and maybe to the point of being even dismissive of small things. I think my husband would probably say, I say it is what it is a lot. If I can't control it, then I'm not worried about it. So I think that's good and bad. It helps free up mind space for all the things that you can control, which is important. But I also, tend to not focus on things that just are outside of my scope or my plan for that day. And I'm very focused on, living in the here and now and not getting bogged down in things that might cause worry and concern too much in the future.
Excellent. Well, Cody, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I know you're busy and you've got to run, but before you go, would you take just a minute and tell us how people can learn more about Sjf Ventures and connect with you personally?
Absolutely. So sjfventures.com is our website. There you can see the bios of all the individuals at our firm, and you will see mine as well on that site. Or on my bio webpage, you will see my email. It's cnystrom@sjfventures.com. Feel free to reach out, and you can mention you saw this. That would probably be a helpful initial warm referral. And then also LinkedIn. I'm a little bit slower on LinkedIn, but you can reach me LinkedIn and just search Cody Nystrom. I don't think there's too many of us. It's a fairly unique name. So would love to connect. And I appreciate any opportunities to engage, even if it's too early or outside of our focus. We'll certainly try to find ways to make connections for entrepreneurs, especially those that are doing great work in fields that we are excited about.
Fantastic. Cody, again, thank you very much for being with us. We wish you every success in continuing your efforts to fund changing the world.
Great. Thank you.
All righty. Let's do some good.
Thank you for listening. Devin Thorpe's mission is to end extreme poverty, improve global health, and mitigate climate change before 2045 by finding and sharing the stories of those who are doing the most good. You can join with other listeners to accelerate Devin's mission by visiting helpdevin.org right now.